If you're trying to build a network in tech, it might be really hard knowing that there's always something going on in another city. If you're in San Francisco, great, but there's always something going on in New York. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona, great, but there's always something going on everywhere else, right? And if you're in Ghana, Nigeria, somewhere in South America, you might feel like you're really far away from the action, in the hubs here in New York and San Francisco and Miami. But there is a tool that you can use that actually makes the world a lot smaller and allows you to break into these networks even if you don't live there. And this tool is called Twitter. Twitter is probably the only tool in the world that allows you to pick an industry that you want to break into, pick the people in that industry that you want to meet or you want to rub shoulders with, and then follow them. And then simply by the algorithm doing its job, you get exposed to the best that industry has to offer. And in my experience, I did this with tech. I got on Twitter in 2015, and slowly but surely, I built up my follower base, my own follower base, but more importantly, I built up the people that I followed. And I tried to follow the most relevant tech people that I possibly could. And serendipity followed me. When I followed someone like Eric Ries or Elizabeth Yin, I got introduced to so many other great people in tech that then taught me more than any textbook could or even any YouTube video could. It's called learning through osmosis. So if you're trying to build a network in tech, I beg you to get onto Twitter and follow the right people so you can start learning too. Now you might be wondering, Matt, okay, I'm on Twitter, I follow some people, but it's kind of lame. Like, these are talking heads. They all have a lot of followers, but there's not a lot of value. Where's the juice? Well, the juice, where's the signal? Where's the juice? It is hard to find, but in this video, I'm going to let you know the top 5 people that you should follow on Twitter that gives you the highest opportunity to get that signal out of the noise so you can then follow the right people after that. So if you keep watching, we're going to go into the 5 must-follow people on Twitter if you want to break into tech, okay? If you want to break into politics and entertainment, go somewhere else. But you want to break into tech, keep watching. The first person you have to follow on Twitter is absolutely Elizabeth Yin. Elizabeth Yin, as you can see, is co-founder of Hustle Fund, also GP at Hustle Fund. Hustle Fund is another account you should follow, but it's ultimately a VC firm that really likes to invest in hustlers, but they also don't take themselves too seriously. And Elizabeth Yin really takes this to heart in her own feed. By following Elizabeth Yin, what you'll see is she does a lot of retweeting. You can see she retweets very relevant people in tech. So by following Elizabeth, you will then immediately get introduced to founders like Nathan and VCs like Cheyenne and VCs like Eric. These are Hustle Fund investors. And also VCs like Chris, right? These are people that are main characters in tech. But, with following Elizabeth, you'll also find she posts a lot of her own original thoughts. For example, you can see here's a thread about timing the fundraise. It is really hard to get timing of the fundraise correctly. And she just rips a thread on the best times for a founder to raise capital during the holidays and the worst times, right? So I really think Elizabeth Yin is probably one of the best follows in tech that you possibly can do, for the main reason that she retweets a lot of relevant people. And when she's not retweeting and when she's just sharing her own stuff, she drops value bombs. So if you want to follow Elizabeth Yin, head over to Twitter. Her handle is DunkHippo33. Don't ask me why. She loves it and she's sticking with it. So follow DunkHippo33 and get that value from Elizabeth right now. Okay. So follow her, pause the video, follow Elizabeth. Once you followed her, unpause the video and we'll go to the next Twitter account. The second account you have to follow on Twitter is Emad. His handle is simple. It's Emad. And Emad is the founder, CEO of Mercury, but is also a prolific investor as well. Because he is, more seasoned, I think, than an average founder on Twitter. What he ends up tweeting will help you become a better founder and investor yourself. He only shares things that, in my opinion, are extremely high signal. For example, Daniel Gross is like one of the smartest people on Twitter. He should be on this list. Maybe we'll be on the next one, right? And he retweets something from Daniel. You want to know about that if it weren't for Daniel. Shahed, over at Loom, but specifically this is about Hyper, is building kind of a new school Y Combinator, okay? Then you have things Mercury related. So you actually get to learn, how does he talk about his own product, right? If we scroll down, he he literally is talking publicly about should he do investor updates or should he not. This is a founder that's raised tens of millions of dollars that is talking out loud about a thing that a lot of founders are going to have to deal with, of figuring out, do they do investor updates when there's competitors all over the place, right? So I think you should follow Imad simply because he is a founder, he's in the field, but he's a little more seasoned than most, and he'll really drop great value bombs that will help you learn through osmosis. Just like Elizabeth, he retweets relevant folk like Naval, Antonio, etc. But ultimately, I think just following him gives you a really good look into how a venture-backed seasoned founder uses Twitter. He doesn't overuse it, but he uses it enough to be dangerous. And that's why I say Imad should be your second follow. IMMAD. All right, pause the video, follow Imad. Now let's move on to the next person. The third person you have to follow on Twitter is Jason Calacanis, at Jason. So as you can tell by his follower number, he is definitely the most famous person of the people that I've mentioned so far. But he still keeps it 100% for real, and that is honestly why he is a great follower. Person to follow. Jason is a angel. He's a VC. He invests in startups. But what's great about Jason is that he is so outspoken on Twitter about so many things. And when you have 500,000 followers, it's not that common to have someone at that level of success, talk so freely. Okay. For example, Everett Randall made a post that said, if there's one thing Steve Jobs would love about Apple today, it's how much they have every other consumer tech company's balls and a vice grip. And Jason's like, pin this tweet, right? Let's see what else. He says, it's going to be interesting to see the CEO of Twitter who actually uses the platform. It's got 1,500 likes. This guy is just someone who keeps it completely real. Is he perfect? Of course not. No human's perfect, but I think he does keep it real as much as he possibly can. And as someone who's an insider in Silicon Valley, who wasn't always an insider because he's from New York, kind of broke into Silicon Valley by investing in Robinhood, investing in Uber. This is a perspective you cannot miss. He's also super into democratizing venture capital, as well as he raises his fourth fund publicly. So highly, highly suggest following Jason Calacanis. If you don't follow his podcast either, This Week in Startups or All In, I would highly suggest doing that as well. He is at Jason, Jason. Pause the video, give Jason a follow, then come back, and we got 2 more people for you. The next person you have to follow is Josh. He is at Joshua Ogundu on his handle. And Josh is, in my opinion, one of the best followers on Twitter, straight up. Why? Well, going back to the founder, thing that Imad had, Josh is a founder. Okay, so you get the experience of a founder, but Josh doesn't talk about founding his company as much as he talks about observations in tech. And it's super fascinating. Josh is someone who broke in. He previously worked at TikTok. Now he's a founder. He's venture backed. He has kind of gone down the path, and he sees things that most people don't see, and he shares them. And although his tweets are largely unpopular by some, they speak the truth. And this is why you need to follow someone like Josh. Of course, he does these videos that are very satirical when he makes fun of people in tech, and they are hilarious. So if you want some humor, follow his feed for humor. But if we scroll a little bit, let's look at one of his opinions recently. So let's see. Look at this. Founders usually talk about having a network as it relates to raising capital, but your network is very critical in building your company, from hiring to partnerships. What is the value of Twitter? Does it have one core value prop? It's just interesting thoughts. I think he's a very deep thinker, and he shares some very controversial things, which I love. I do want to find one of these posts that is controversial. Let's see. Here we go. Believing that Elon owning Twitter will make the world a worse place on the internet is an overreaction. If you keep scrolling, he tweets a lot, obviously, as do I. But if you go to his account and you keep following, you will find that he has some really spicy takes that I think you'll really enjoy. So go ahead and follow Josh. He's a founder. He's also an angel investor, and he's a truth teller. And you need him on your feed if you want to know what the hell is going on in tech. The last person you have to follow on Twitter is Kristen, who is the CEO and co-founder of Catch. So I've known Kristen now for 3 or 4 years, and her feed is completely full of super authentic stuff around starting a company and running a company. I would say out of everyone that I mentioned today, Kristen gives you the best idea of what it's like to be a founder, the pros and the cons. Another benefit of Kristen is that she comes from the Y Combinator ecosystem. So a lot of the things that she engages with and a lot of people that follow her are from that ecosystem. And it's really good to be connected with people from Y Combinator because they're generally like, tend to be more of the center of tech than not. But Kristen, I would say, is so much bigger than Y Combinator with her feed. She shares all of the things, whether it's about parenthood, all the way to being proud of her team, to just building an awesome company in Catch. I'm actually a very proud customer and happy customer of Catch. And it's been so cool to see how Kristen has built an audience on Twitter and just absolutely crushed it with Catch. She also, as you can tell, is very proud of her kid. She posts a lot about her newborn child, which I think is fantastic. This shows you that founders aren't just founders. They can also be parents. They can also be brothers. They can be moms and dads. They can be sons and daughters. And she gives you a real 360 view on what it's like to be a Silicon Valley backed founder in 2022. I highly suggest giving Kristen a follow. She is at Catch Kristen. It is Catch because that is the name of her company. And I hope that you follow her because she is just like up the wazoo with authenticity and she's crushing it as well. Here you have it. Those are the 5 follows that you should be adding to your Twitter right now if you want to get plugged into tech. You got to follow Elizabeth Yin for her VC takes, fun brand and truths in the VC world. You want to follow Imad because he tells it how it is as a super seasoned founder and investor. You want to follow Jason Calacanis because he is a total boss with half a million followers, but he still keeps it real. You want to follow Josh because he talks about unpopular truths in the VC world that not many people talk about. And you want to follow Kristen because she is a founder boss who's also raising a family at the same time, which plenty of founders are, and this gives you a representative of what that looks like. So if you have any questions on anyone, if there's someone that you want to add in, if there's someone that I may not know about, that you wish was on this list, leave a comment and let me know who do you wish I added to this list, and then maybe I'll make a part 2. And also, I'll finish this off by saying you should follow me as well. I am Matt Sherman, Matt with 1T _Sherman. My feed is a little crazy, but if you're like some crazy, I would love to have you. Thanks for watching this video and see you next time.